All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cassie Ballou. I'll be emceeing tonight. This is my first time emceeing, so please bear with me. Um, so excited to be joining you all for this Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund event. As you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, a time where we can celebrate life, remember life. So, with that, I'd like to welcome Thelma D. Jones to the stage to offer some opening and welcoming remarks.
Good evening. I'm Thelma D. Jones, the proud founder of the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. Oh, are you surprised I'm Thelma? The Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund started originally as a support group in April 2010, and we evolved to a full-fledged organization in 2012 on the 60th anniversary of my birthday. So for those of you who are good in math, you can do the math, and you will quickly know that I am only 72 years young. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I still have a good, robust, and energetic voice that I can welcome you here this evening on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. And I know at least one board member, two board members, Kathy DeBow, our Assistant Treasurer, and Scarlett Small, our Board Secretary, are online. So I welcome you on behalf of them. The Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund's mission is to help improve the overall health and well-being of women and men. And we do this through outreach, support, and education, using evidence-based information to help to reduce the incidence and mortality rates of breast cancer. Many of you may know that the District of Columbia has the, or at least one of the highest incidence of mortality rates in the country. So this is not only personal to me as the home of the nation's capital, it's personal to me because I am a breast cancer survivor since June of 2007 when I was diagnosed with a rare breast cancer with an unknown primary, meaning, according to the doctor at the time, that 95% of the women in this country are diagnosed with a known source or origin. I was one of that 5%, making it rare, of having an unknown primary. I was also diagnosed as a late stage 3B. So I can understand the fear of recurrence because I am also HER2 positive, and HER2 positive is an aggressive form of breast cancer with a high rate of, return or recurrence. So every day I thank the Almighty that I am still here, and I know that I am here for a purpose. And that purpose is to share my story, my network, my expertise, and all the things within to help to reduce the incidence and mortality rates of breast cancer. Our theme this afternoon, this evening, is courage, perseverance, and triumph, a survivor's story. I am so pleased that we have back for the third, or this is the fourth time, I was trying to count them, the lovely Miss Kristen Berset-Harris, who I know all of you watch on WSA 9 early in the morning because all of you look like early morning people. And so I am so happy to have her back. And WSA 9, just a little plug, and I hope you will mention it too, will be having their annual Still Standing event where we recognize or they recognize survivors. So that's coming up on October the 30th at the station. And we hope that if you haven't signed up, you will. So I've signed up. So I hope the rest of the survivors do so as well. And I also want to mention that tonight's program is dedicated to the life and legacy of Dr. Lori L. Wilson, who was a well known surgical oncologist at Howard University, who transitioned in October of 22. And I am very proud to have received after Lori the very first Lori L. Wilson Conquering Cancer Award. And that's that beautiful artistic statue that's sitting over there. And to know that Lori thought enough of me to make sure that I receive that award is very dear to me. I was presented the award on a Thursday night at Howard University, and Lori left us the very next morning. So she stayed around long enough to see me get the award. And because of that, I have a commitment, a true commitment, to make sure that her legacy stays alive and well. And I'm also happy that later on, her husband, Chris Dolphin, is on Zoom and will speak as well. And just very briefly, some of the things that we do to help ensure that our mission is well executed is we have a monthly support group meeting, which we've had every month with the exception of once since 2010 or since the inception. And that was because Metro shut down, and I realized some of the people who come from all over the region would be unable to attend. So that's the only time that we have not had a meeting. When the pandemic occurred, we pivoted to online, and now we're doing online and, of course, with the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Facebook Live. So hello to everyone on Zoom and everyone out in Facebook land, and welcome as well. Another program that we have, in addition to our monthly support group, where we have some of the most fabulous speakers in the country, such as the one we have tonight, Kristen Berset, and later on, Tiara, and of course, our lovely MC, Cassie Boulay. And there's a little secret, but I'm going to let those who are actually part of the secret tell you. So the fact that you're here tonight, you're in for a surprise. And not to say the ones who are on Zoom or Facebook are not in for a surprise, but it's a little more intimate being here. Okay. We also have a COVID-19 meals program where we serve every Tuesday and the fourth Wednesday fresh produce and lunches to over 50 to 60 seniors, families, and immune compromised. Most of them live in River Park, but we also serve meals to immune compromised breast cancer survivors and others within the area. And I am pleased tonight to introduce two of our staunch volunteers, Rosario and his lovely wife, Karen. We all live in River Park. So thank you, Rosario, for coming. When he's not there volunteering, let me tell you, there is a gap in the work. So that he was there and here tonight, thank you so much. And Karen as well for keeping him on the straight and narrow. Another program or service that we offer is a newsletter. We send out upcoming and ongoing events and announcement, whether it's about employment, MPD is having a hiring, or whether it's DC Parks and Rec trying to promote or raise awareness of their activities, or whether it's about any facet of cancer. So it's not just breast cancer. We've sent out information on basically every form of cancer there is, as well as chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, kidney challenges, and etc. And then we have a monthly newsletter that is released every third Wednesday. So hopefully you have seen the newsletter that was released today that's chock full of information about breast cancer and other challenges. I want to take this time to also to mention that this month is also Intimate Partner Violence Month, IPV, or as it was formerly or still called at times, domestic violence. There is about 12% of the women in this country who face domestic violence at the same time that they are undergoing breast cancer. So if you don't have enough with dealing with breast cancer and then you have to deal with that, it's hard for me to fathom that because I know what it's like going through cancer. And some of our other programs include patient navigation, where we work with breast cancer survivors and their families, helping to connect them or reduce the challenges of working with the healthcare system. And I don't have to tell you how challenging that can be at times. And to have someone to help walk you through that is very important. We also do a lot of speaking engagements from here to North Carolina to Atlanta, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I might mention because of the platform, the online platform, we have reached nearly 20 states. We're happy that we are reaching Las Vegas, Nevada, the state of Nevada. We have Alan Herbert on the line, who's from Las Vegas, Nevada. And we have also reached 6 different countries abroad. So we're very pleased about that. As you can see, I could talk quite a bit about what the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund is doing because we are doing much, much more. And I am so happy that you're here in this space, St. Augustine's Episcopal Church, which is my home church, and it is also the church of Justice Thurgood Marshall and his spouse, Mrs. Sissy Marshall, a longtime dear and personal friend of mine who departed her life in November of 2022. So I lost 2 close friends in a very short period of time, Mrs. Thurgood Marshall and Lori L. Wilson. But with the spirit of both, I continued to keep pushing forward because they were very supportive of all of my efforts. So I will stop here, and what I omitted, I will include in our closing remarks, and I will turn it back over to our lovely MC, Cassie Boulay. And let's give Cassie a hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Thelma. Up next, I'd like to welcome Miss Scarlett S. Small, a Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund board member and ambassador. She will be giving us a blessing, I believe, via Zoom.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, everyone is enjoying this fall-like day, and it's very nice to see everyone that is on Zoom now. So if we can sort of quiet ourselves and close our eyes, and I would offer my blessings for this meeting. Father God, we humbly pray for all those who's fighting cancer. Give them hope, courage, perseverance, and healing. Thank you, God, for our speakers, for our participants, and for Ms. Thelma for providing this forum for us to meet and share information and support. Father God, this is the month where we observe cancer awareness. We wear our pink in support. Father, I pray that we continue to support those who are in need, those that have been diagnosed, those that are survivors, and those yet to be diagnosed, Father. They need our support. As Ms. Thelma mentioned, we also want to keep the family of Dr. Lori Wilson in our prayers, her husband and her son and her family. On this occasion, Father, we want to continue to encourage our friends or our families that are battling cancer. We want us not to forget those that have been impacted by cancer, all types of cancers, Father. Let our caring go beyond October. Let us be there for support, encourage, and let us cheer them on to victory. I thank you for all your blessings. I also thank you again for having this opportunity to listen to fantastic speakers to get the information that we will receive this evening. Let us not keep it to ourselves, but pass it on to others who are in need. In the precious name of Jesus, amen.
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 And if you would like to call out someone's name that has lost this, it's no longer here with us because of their battle with the disease, feel free to call out their name. And this doesn't necessarily have to be limited to a breast cancer survivor. Lori Banks Kuntz, Laurenita Lucas, Dr. L'Oreal Wilson, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Scarlett, for sharing that blessing. God is good.
All the time.
And all the time. Thank you.
God is good.
Before I invite the next person up to speak, I'd like to just introduce myself. As I mentioned, my name is Cassie Ballou. I'm currently a communications director on Capitol Hill, and I'm also a former Miss District of Columbia, USA 2023. That was part one of the surprise. My platform during my reign was cancer awareness, and I got involved because of my mother, who is a cancer survivor. She survived breast cancer and is battling a brain tumor at the moment, and she is incredibly strong. And the way that I've learned to cope with this is through organizations like this. I had the pleasure of getting to know Thelma through a mentor of mine, Jacqueline Beal, who is also a breast cancer survivor, and worked really closely with the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. And she continues to be a breast cancer awareness advocate. I learned so much as a caregiver, and I learned that, yes, cancer obviously affects the individual, but also the person around them. I have worked closely with organizations like the American Cancer Society and their Cancer Action Network, as well as the Brem Foundation, where I advocated for the Find It Early Act, a bill that was introduced in 2022 in Congress, which helps with the promotion of making it more affordable and accessible for women to seek early detection, as well as working really closely with another organization called the Cancer Support Community, which provides resources for cancer patients as well as their caregivers like myself, something that my mother and I utilized during COVID when I was living in DC and she was living in Ohio. We were able to take our minds off of cancer for a moment while we did a virtual cooking class. So tonight's theme is Courage, Perseverance, and Triumph, a survivor's story, which couldn't be any more fitting as we continue to celebrate life and strength. So with that, I'd like to welcome Chris Doffin to speak and provide some greetings. I believe via Zoom as well.
Thank you, Ms. Ballou. Good evening. Greetings. Apologize that I couldn't make it in person. That was the original plan, but due to business demands, I wouldn't have made it on time. So Ms. Thelma and I agreed would be fine for me just to call in. I won't stay on too long. I do have about 4 or 5 points to make that I want to address. First of all, of course, as always, I can't thank enough Miss Thelma D. Jones and the Thelma D. Jones Cancer Fund uh, for carrying on Lori's legacy, or as most people know her, Dr. Wilson. Um, she wasn't just a cancer warrior, but she was a professor, an advocate, a surgeon, and wore many hats, kind of like Miss Jones do. It's funny because she was covering a lot of what the uh, Thelma D. Jones Cancer Fund does, and yet I was thinking of all the other things that she didn't cover that they also do. So it's just quite amazing, and that's why she was well deserving of the uh, first L'Oreal Wilson Award that Howard University Cancer Center um, um, gave was to her. Um, so I too, like Ms. Belu, have something in common as far as being a caregiver. And while I cannot quite carry Lori's tradition as eloquently as she could, and I'm not an expert in medicine, um, I made it a point to uh, help and educate those caregivers. As a matter of fact, I just put a link on the chat for those who haven't seen it in the previous occasions that Ms. Jones gave me an opportunity to talk. It's an article that was published earlier this year. Um, so I always try to advocate for advocates and for caregivers. It's very important that we take care of each other, take care of our mental health. A lot of people don't realize the amount of mental stress, which leads to physical and health issues for caregivers when caring for somebody going through cancer. Um, and it's important to take care of the caregivers too, because otherwise we'll take care of those people going through cancer. Um, I feel obliged every time I have an opportunity to speak to just drive a couple of the points that were very important to Lori that she always brought up during speaking engagements. The first one I'm going to start with is the disparity amongst races as it relates to cancer, and specifically, I will mention triple negative, which I believe was mentioned a little bit earlier. Black women are something in the neighborhood of 40% more likely to be diagnosed later and with the more aggressive form of uh, triple negative breast cancer. So, as a couple of people already mentioned, is key for early detection and to promote and to sorry, I'm missing a word here, encourage Black women, minorities to have for self-exam and for breast cancer exam. The American Cancer Society, I think the guideline is at 45, but just like with prostate cancer for men, for women, for Black women specifically, it really should be 40. I don't want to get into politics, but I'm just saying it's very important because the numbers speak volumes. And unfortunately, that has a direct impact in the mortality rate. Um, Another key point that Lori was a very big advocate of, and as it turned out, it extended her life from her diagnosis, her second diagnosis in January of 2019, and the prognosis that she was given of a few months, maybe a year. She actually survived 3.5 years. And we can directly give credit. Well, we'll give credit to God first, but secondly to clinical trial. And I know the history amongst Black people in this country, minorities in general, and clinical trials have been one sketchy to say the least. But in this modern time, it is crucial that we encourage uh, Black people, Black women, to participate in clinical trials. As I said, I'm a firsthand witness how it extended Lori's life, and not just extended her life, but the quality of life, um, all the way till a few weeks, actually a month and a half before she passed. Lori was able to teach, operate, I mean, just a full active life. And as I said, direct connection to clinical trials. Um, I just want to share real quick a little bit of statistics from thanks to Dr. Sarah Horton, who is very focused on trying to eliminate disparities, just like Dr. Wilson, just like Lori was. Um, General population in America, 64% white, 12% Black, 16.8 Hispanic, 6% Asian. The FDA clinical trials participation, white women 73%, Black women 4%, Hispanic 7%, Asian 19%. So there's a great participation amongst white and Asian women. Uh, Hispanics, not so good. Black women, only 4%. So there's a direct correlation between the survivability, the mortality rate, and the participation in these clinical trials. So we need to turn that around. Now, I do have some positive numbers that have a lot to do with meetings like these, conferences, and information. Over the last 10 years, it's been a 1% improvement steady year over year in pretty much all the groups in the survivability rate in cancer and breast cancer. So that's something to be celebrated. Now, a not so great statistic related to that, amongst Black women under 40, there's actually been an increase of diagnosis and of breast cancer. So we need to reach the younger generation. I don't have an answer on how, but that's something definitely that we need to address more. So Black women in clinical trials and younger Black women self-exams and identification of being at higher risk, which that leads me to what I believe will be my last point. Recently, there's been studies that have shown a direct correlation between men prostate cancer and their daughter's breast cancer. This is something I learned recently. Um, and I believe not so coincidentally, Lori's dad, when he passed away, he had prostate cancer. So now that I have this information, my son, having lost his mother to breast cancer, I'm going to be vigilant and I'm going to communicate to him the importance of exams for prostate cancer because he is now considered to be at a higher risk. So these are the type of information that we need to talk amongst ourselves. You need to ask your parents and communicate to your children your medical history. These are important things that can really save lives. So with that, that's the end of my remarks. Once again, thank you very much to Ms. Jones, Pamela Jones, for the opportunity to speak, share information, and like Laura used to say, a lot of these meetings to me, I used to tell her felt like preaching to the choir. But Lori always reminded me if each one person learns something new, and that one person tells one person, and so forth, and a life is saved, then we accomplish our mission. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Next, I'd like to welcome Alan Herbert. Alan is a two-time breast cancer survivor and advocate, and he will be joining us from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's afternoon here in sunny Las Vegas. I just want to first thank Thelma, who has been a great mentor for me. Since I spoke the last time there, I've been speaking all over, talking to NASA, talking to different organizations, and really talking about what I'm going to talk about is space cancer research and how it's going to affect us here on Earth. She's really helped me to encourage myself to really be out there because I never really talked about it before. But I want everybody in this room to imagine if the cure for cancer could come from an unexpected place beyond our planet. Finding a cure is essential to be closer than we think. You all know the statistics. This was another thing that kind of pushed me is, about Black women are more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer at a younger age, mortality rate. Black men have higher mortality rates and be diagnosed with prostate cancer than their white counterparts. Now, these statistics to me are not just numbers, you guys. They are deeply personal to me because I'm the 1% of breast cancer folks that are men. And I didn't really understand that at first. But, when I was growing up, my life was shaped by fascination, and maybe many of you, by what I call the dream of the Star Trek world, where there was no disease from Earth. It was all eradicated, and poverty was eradicated. And it grew my passion for STEM. Other shows such as Lost in Space and Space C99, that fueled my aspirations. Because at my time, when I was growing up, I grew up in Berkeley, California, and Hayward. We really didn't have any STEM programs like they have right now. I mean, NASA, NSF, everybody has all these STEM programs. And when I grew up, it was just TV, basically. But because of that, I attended USC, where I earned my degree in aerospace engineering with a dream. I wanted to be an astronaut. Through that dream didn't materialize. I'm still here. My passion for space remained very strong. And during that time, I tell people at USC, I even had a chance to go on Soul Train, which was an experience, and reflected my diverse interests. But even after graduation, in 2007, life brings these unpredictabilities. A routine workout, I felt something on my chest. And as a man, I said, what's going on here? Why do I have this lump on my chest? And at first you think it's something that goes away, but somebody encouraged me to go get it checked. And they found out it was, during a biopsy, was cancer. And I'm like, I'm a man, I'm not supposed to get breast cancer. What's this? And of course I went through surgery, chemotherapy sessions, and continuous medication regimen. Because I'm that 1%, a lot of people don't focus on it. And then, when you do the genetic testing, I encourage everybody to do the genetic testing. I found out that I'm susceptible to prostate cancer. And I had to tell my sons that, hey, and my daughter, who will have sons probably one day, you really have to check out this. But that was in 2007. But even though I was going through that, I didn't stop. I moved forward with my passion, which was space. And from 2014 to 2017, I went through different changes. I had been married before, but I got married again, embraced my family life, secured a dream job in the space industry. I made history by sending the first oven into space, which is now in the Smithsonian. We baked the first cookie. And you say, what's the big deal? But that's something big in space. I sent the first palm tree in space. This is the company that I work for. And then I sent 18 experiments for the United Arab Emirates, and then opened up the first space agriculture development center in that region. So because of that, this renewal took my wife and I to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, in the UAE, where I helped establish my company's office, regional office. I felt I was living in the UAE. I was living a very supportive life. They knew what was going on. I would do my checkups and everything there. They have very good health care. But I realized by living the importance of using space research to benefit Earth. And then in 2022, my cancer kind of showed up again, leading to my decision to go back to the United States and be closer to my family. So we decided, I'm from California, but I decided to move to Las Vegas. I was used to the desert. I like the desert. It was here that I began a new chapter with treatment. But my journey in breast cancer inspired me to explore ways to stop cancer. Today, I'm fervently engaged in exploring new opportunities within the space industry and advancing cancer research in microgravity environments, tested aboard the International Space Station. Some key research has been conducted by NASA, UC San Diego, Sloan Kettering, and the private sector, other research institutions. One, rapid cancer growth in microgravity, which faster aging of cells, which helps in drug testing. Slower cancer growth with breast cancer, they say, in microgravity, which they're looking for that turn-off switch, which is amazing. And then improved research model, because when you're in space, everything's floating around. The cancer that you're looking at is in 3D. So you can really do a lot of research. And then one of the other things, there's a lot other, but the last thing is that they figured that because I'm still going through treatment, that what the astronauts have to do in space, their regimen can be used here on Earth for those going through cancer treatment, so to make it easier. So as we push the boundaries, what is possible on research in space and Earth, I have been inspired by the White House Cancer Moonshot Initiative. So I'm really filled with optimism about the future. However, we need more companies, especially African Americans. I always talk about this. I'm very interested in what Howard is doing to start conducting research in this with NASA, because NASA is spending millions of dollars to do this research, but African Americans, we're not involved in cancer is affecting us more than anybody. So we need our oncologists, everyone, to be involved in this. The space industry now is really kind of focused on this longevity, living long, which is fine. But, I don't want it to be in the future where people who can only afford to go into space, deal with space, can afford to really get a cure. So when I'm ending this, I have a call to action to everyone. Reflecting on my journey, the challenges that we see in space exploration and my personal health battles share striking parallels. One, both are daunting yet filled with limitless possibilities, especially in research. Moving forward, I am committed to advocating, speaking out, and actively contributing to the global fight against cancer, ensuring advancements benefit all, accelerate research, some of the things they're doing, slowing cancer, and innovative treatments. So as a futurist, and I'm a futurist and an optimist, I believe that countries in Africa, Europe, and around the world will one day eventually establish cancer centers in orbit on the moon and Mars, not just studying cancer, but other chronic diseases. These centers will not only be filled with people from all over the world, but I hope there'll be people there from Howard and some of the HBCUs. So I leave everyone here. You've heard this already. And this is when I speak to everyone, when you mix cancer and space, a lot of people listen because they said, even my oncologist didn't even know they were doing this type of research. We use a lot of space development to get kids more involved in STEM, but I use it as a catalyst to get older people to say, hey, this is what's happening. This is what you need to do. So I urge everyone to stay proactive about their health by getting screened and tested regularly, as we'll talk about a lot today. I say approach your cancer diagnosis with the same curiosity and rigor as it takes in exploring space. Study it thoroughly, actively. Don't just listen to your doctor. You do your own research and then advocate for increased resources and activities in space cancer research. So I want to tell everyone here, thank you for joining me on this journey that I'm going through. Together we can push the boundaries of what is possible and really, really make a difference. I want to tell Thelma, thank you. I love you. You've done so much for me because I never even told my job that I had before I was going through this. But now, you know what? I don't care. I talk about it all the time. People look at me, breast cancer, you're a man, you're not supposed to have this. Yes, I did. And even in the world of the prostate cancer, especially African American men, we've got to get out there early and get tested, because if we don't, it's going to continue to be worse and worse for us. So thank you all so very much. Let's keep in contact. I'm on LinkedIn. You can get my email address from Thelma, but I am here to make this change. And if it means space can do it, if the cure or the treatments from cancer can come through space, then I want to make sure, especially the audience I'm talking to here, that African Americans are a part of that, because it's affecting us the most. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan, for sharing that perspective. And now I'd like to turn it to the rest of the room. I know some of our speakers would love to know who they're talking to. So we can start by sharing a little bit about your name and your relationship to cancer, whether you are a survivor, what type of breast cancer, and when were you diagnosed, or if you're a caregiver, or if you're a guest. So I can start on this side of the room. This side's fine. Okay, it was approved. Thank you. Okay. Oh, beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Beautiful.
So this is my second time battling cancer with no genetic marker for it. I have stage 4. This is like a learning because I walk around with a smile. So grateful to God, but I have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. In March, I found out that my breast cancer has spread to my brain, my bones, my spine, my lungs, and my liver. And that was this March. And God's got me here today.
I'm Kristen Berset-HarrisDoor in just a moment, but a 2-time survivor. The second time, I think I'm at 7 years now. So, no 1,000 years, and so happy to be here.
This is really why I'm famous.
I'm Chris Johnson. I am a guest/supporter.
Awesome.
Started working with Chris when he was 12 years old in the program here in Southwest. And he has now graduated from college and has received his master's in social work, and he's gainfully employed. Good example of what mentoring and working with youth can do.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Up next, our guest speaker, Kristen Berset-Harris. I know many of you seen her on television. Sorry, did I miss something? Oh, excuse me. Sorry. People on Zoom, our guests on Zoom, would love to also know your names and connections to cancer, whether you're a survivor or caregiver or guest. It looks like 14. So if someone wants to start, just unmute yourself.
Good evening. I'm Christine Spencer. I've known Thelma forever. I'm a resident council leader in Southwest, and I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Beautiful. Someone like to unmute next?
Hi, I'm Lisa Baines, and I'm with the American Cancer Society Associate Director. I've known Thelma, it seems like forever, and she's always there, always stands up, always the first one to volunteer. So I'm just grateful to know her and grateful to be in her circle of acknowledging cancer awareness and bringing those resources to others in the community. So I thank her for being a part whenever she asks me.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hello, I'm Scarlett Small. I'm a member of the board and ambassador for the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. I was a caregiver and found it very important to know more so that I can help others. And I've known Thelma since she was a young lady from high school.
Very cool.
Hi, I'll go next. I'm Alejandro Hurtado, and I'm a cancer disparities researcher working at Georgetown University. And I've been partnering with Ms. Jones in many research projects, and it's great to be here.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. 11 weeks now.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Erica Williams, and I was invited by Denise Triplett, and I am a breast cancer survivor. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have someone else who'd like to unmute? All right. Well, I'll carry on then. I'd really like to invite Kristen to the podium. I'm sure many of you have seen her on television in the morning. I had the pleasure of getting to know her when I was a reigning Miss DC USA on set. And a fun fact about her, she's not only a survivor, she's also a pageant girl for Florida, Miss Florida USA. So with that, please come and share your story.
Thank you, Cassie. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody on Zoom. All right, I'll share the secret that Thelma was talking about. So we told you Cassie was Miss District of Columbia USA 2023. She just mentioned I was Miss Florida USA 2004. So we have a little bit of the sisterhood. But the surprise, I think, for both of us tonight was walking in the door and I see this beautiful face that looks awfully familiar. And I look over, we're talking. Tiara Kristen Dews over here was Miss District of Columbia 2004. We competed together the same year, and Florida and DC are right next to each other. So we sat next to each other in the dressing room. We stood next to each other on stage, and we haven't seen each other in 20 years until we just walked in here tonight. Now, of course, we're sitting together tonight for a much different reason. And while I wish that that wasn't the case, it's still wonderful to see you. So we're glad you're here. Yes, we're sisters. So what Thelma does, she brings all of us wonderful people together, right? She has great company, and we are so honored just to be here. So Thelma, thank you for having us all here. I stand before you today. I carry with me not just one story of survival, but two. Now, two battles that taught me the meaning of courage, and two triumphs that prove the incredible resilience of the human spirit. So I was just 27 years old when I first heard those words that would change my life forever. You have breast cancer. 27, an age when most of us are building our careers, right? We feel invincible. We're tackling the world, traveling, just loving life. Nothing can stop us. But my journey actually started even before that diagnosis with two misdiagnoses that really taught me that first crucial lesson. Being your own advocate is not only important, but it's vital. And we share this so much of being your own advocate. If you know your body better than anybody else, and you know if something is right or wrong. When you're young, of course, cancer is not supposed to be a part of your story. Doctors often dismiss that possibility, as they did with me. But again, something inside me, that quiet voice that's always there, we sometimes try to ignore it, but it kept telling me that something just wasn't right. Learning to listen to that voice, to stand up for myself, to speak up for myself, and to persist in seeking answers was my first act of courage. The initial diagnosis, as we're all aware, is felt like you're being thrown into a storm without a compass. I didn't know a single person that had been diagnosed with breast cancer. I did a lot of advocacy for breast cancer in college because I was a member of the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority, and the Susan G. Komen Foundation was our philanthropy. So we would pass out the shower tags that used to have about how to do a self-breast exam. But I didn't know anybody that had been diagnosed, or so I thought. And this was brought up here tonight by some of our guest speakers. I didn't know that my grandmother had had breast cancer. It just wasn't talked about, right? And then after you're diagnosed, it's like, for lack of a better example, you're driving a red car and all of a sudden you start to see all sorts of red cars out there, right? You start to see things, you start to meet people. And that's when I started to realize how many people and families have been affected by this disease. But here's kind of what I learned through this storm. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel scared. And it's okay just to not be okay. Giving yourself grace during this journey isn't just important, but it's absolutely necessary. Some days just getting out of bed is an act of courage, and that is perfectly fine. I fought that first battle with everything I had. I had wonderful support from family and friends and coworkers, my medical professionals, and I learned that while cancer might be a solo diagnosis, survival is really a team sport. Every person who brought a meal, offered me a ride to treatment, drove me to and from, or would just sit there with me in silence during tough days, they all became a part of my survival story. But as I mentioned, life had another challenge ahead. So at 36, just 1 month before I was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, 1 month before my wedding, cancer returned. This timing, it really just felt cruel, right? It was a little hard to process, and a lot of that, like, here we go again. You know what is coming, really, with how much it takes over your life. So here I was planning my seating charts and my flower arrangements, and suddenly I was back in my oncologist's office facing my worst fear all over again. But you know what's remarkable about the human spirit? It's our ability to find light in those darkest moments. So my fiance and I chose this challenge not as a setback, but really to demonstrate what in sickness and health truly means. Our wedding became not just a celebration of love, but a declaration of resilience. So we got married. 2 weeks later, I had my surgery. Honeymoon ended up being canceled, postponed, then canceled. 2 months after that, my husband lost his job. It was quite the start to a marriage. But we always say, honestly, it was one of the best things that could have happened to us. It propelled me into the position I'm in now at my job. I was very unhappy at work, and it gave me the courage to go after my dream job, which I'm in right now. But also for my husband and I, we were long distance, and we hadn't lived together. So this was our time to bond. He drove me every day for 37 days down to Baltimore for radiation treatment. And that was our honeymoon. But I think starting out that way was really a true testament to our love, and it's really strengthened us throughout our marriage. Through both journeys, I discovered that perseverance, it isn't about never falling. It's about rising up every time you fall. It's about showing up for those treatments when you're exhausted and you don't want to be poked and prodded anymore. It's about letting yourself just cry in the shower, then putting on that brave face, to really calm the fears of your worried parents and loved ones. It's also about celebrating those small victories. Every completed treatment, every good blood test, every day you just managed to eat a full meal. It's about celebrating those victories. So to those of you who might be at the beginning of your own journey, or if you're supporting someone through theirs, just remember, I want you to know this, you are stronger than you even imagine. There's a lot of strength in you, but you really don't have to be strong every minute of the day. That's okay. Find your support system, lean on them, accept help when it's offered. Asking for help is not a weakness. That shows courage and strength. Join support groups. Come to meetings like this. Meet other people that are going through this journey. The understanding and guidance from others who have walked this path is just invaluable. Cancer also taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite that fear. Perseverance isn't about never feeling defeated. It's about continuing on when you do. And triumph, again, it's sometimes in the big moments, like hearing the word remission, but more often in those small moments. That first post-chemo hair curl, the first time you can raise your arms again without pain, or wash your hair in the shower, put on your own shirt over your head, not buttoned up, take a shower, and really the first time that laugh doesn't feel forced. As I stand here today, a two-time survivor, I'm not just here to share my story. I want to share a message of hope. Cancer may have been part of my story, but it doesn't define my story. What defines us is how we face our challenges, how we support each other, and how we choose to move forward. And most importantly, remember, your journey is your own. There's no right or wrong way to face cancer. Give yourself that permission to feel all these emotions, whether you're newly battling this or been a survivor for several decades. If you want to broadcast it to the world and go on TV like I did and tell everybody, go for it. If you want to keep it within your small circle and just tell a few people, that's fine too. But whatever you do, please celebrate your victories, no matter how small. Find that support system, hold them close. And most importantly, never give up hope. After my first diagnosis, a coworker of mine, I was only 6 months into a new job when I was diagnosed in Baltimore. And so I really didn't know many people that well. But I had this amazing coworker. Her name is Brandy Proctor. She had lost her mom to breast cancer. So after my diagnosis, she gave me this piece of paper that has a poem, a saying, whatever you might call it. And I've had it hanging at my desk every day for the last 14 years. She also gave me a pillow that says, "Of course they're fake. My real ones tried to kill me." That's also one of my other favorite things that I have. So this is what this says. It reads, the title is, "What Cancer Cannot Do." It cannot cripple love. It cannot shatter hope. It cannot corrode faith. It cannot destroy peace. It cannot kill friendship. It cannot suppress memories. It cannot silence courage. It cannot invade the soul. It cannot steal eternal life. And it cannot conquer the spirit. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Thelma, for having me here. as always. I love seeing your smiling face, and I know how much you have touched our community and everybody that's here throughout this area, and we just love you very much. And she did mention at the beginning there at my station we have an event called Still Standing. We've been doing it for the past few years. I want to invite all of you to please come. This year it is at the station. It's from 1:30 p.m. So make sure we get the timing right. 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Because my show is now at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're going to have free food from Taco Bamba. They've been so gracious to support us. Holy Cross Hospital will be there with medical advice. We also are giving away to a lucky survivor a 2-night stay at Rose. I think it's Rose Casino. It's coming soon. Yeah, free play, 2-night stay, meals, good giveaway. And then it's just a fun, amazing, uplifting day, yes, of celebration and support and courage. We have a ball. So we're really glad it's going to be part of the station this year, and we all get to come together. So go to WUSA9.com, register, contact Thelma. She'll lead you there too. But please tell your friends, and I really want to see you there on October 30th. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for sharing all that. And yes, we will hopefully all be attending on October 30th. Yes, all are welcome. Next, I'd like to welcome Lisa Baines via Zoom.
Yes, well, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Lisa, we just want to ask a couple of questions to Kristen.
Okay, we're coming back. Rewind. So if anyone has any questions for Kristen, we can start that now.
So sorry.
The question, and it was actually Channel 9 that first asked me this. What would you like to happen? What is it you would love to have known then that you know now?
I think starting out knowing that there's this community that we have together and how amazing our breast cancer community is. I mean, I can only attest to Baltimore, D.C., the DMV area, but I can only imagine other people that have gone through this. I want to say women, but obviously men as well. So when it's so scary at first, and again, I knew nobody. And everybody that I had learned that had breast cancer was moms. I'm in my 20s. So everybody was in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I hadn't met anybody that was in their 20s that had breast cancer. Now, of course, sadly, I've met a lot of women that were under 40 that have gone through this. But I think in those early moments, knowing that I was going to become part of this incredibly loving, supporting, amazing community, maybe would have made it a little less trepidatious, a little less scary to start. It's all scary. But those first few months, I would have loved to known that. I did get, I talk about it being your own journey. We've all had it different ways, more extreme treatments than others, and nobody should compare anybody to anybody else. But I did have that experience early on once because I didn't go through chemo my first time. I had a bilateral mastectomy and I took tamoxifen and I opted not to do chemo. And I was shunned for that by somebody that when I said I'm telling them a story, oh, did you go through chemo? I'm like, no, thankfully I didn't have to. Oh, you didn't go through chemo? Like it was a bad thing. And I was to feel guilty that I caught mine early enough and it didn't, Since then, I have found people that will never judge you, people that will never shun you. All any of you have ever done is uplift and show love and support. So at 27 years old, I'm glad I know it now, but I would have liked to have known that the moment it happened, right? That's not going to be, but it's something that I'm just glad to have found. And now that I'm a part of it, I'm really glad that I am with you all.
devastation, and she had lost her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so here you are, a new survivor. How did that hit you when she told you her mother passed away? Because, you know, when we tell people now, oh, I have breast cancer, and they mean well, but they tell you a litany of people who died.
Yeah. No, you don't need to hear about that. I don't think it really hit me at that time. It was so shocking. And yes, it was scary. Those thoughts would come through if I've like, oh, my grandmother passed away from breast cancer. My mom passed away from breast cancer. Honestly, if you had told me that when I was diagnosed the second time, it might have affected me more if I was older. But at 27, honestly, I'm like, all right, get these things off of me. Let's get going. I'm going on with my life. That was my mentality, which may have not been the best, but I was just like, I'm getting over this and we're going to continue. I went back to work in 10 days because it was a new job. And I was like, I'm 27. I can do this. The second time I took about 6 months off. I made sure to really, get better, and a lot of self-care. I think at that time I just wasn't listening. To me, just to have her support was amazing because she didn't harp on it. She just was able to offer me support and a little bit of understanding about what I was going through. I also had my producer at the time. He was 19. No, he was 19 and he had just finished chemo treatment for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And super positive, super fun. He's like a little brother to me now. The best thing that ever could have happened to me because he had gone through chemo. So when I thought I was about to do chemo, I'm like, did you lose your taste? Did your nails turn black? What happened? Like I asked all these questions and he just patiently answered everything. So being able to surround myself with people like that is what helped me get through my journey. I came across people where I'm like, I don't like your energy, so I'm not going to be around you. And I think that's okay for us to do, right? We want to be around people that are going to uplift us, and others take their journey in different ways. And it was a patient navigator. And I'm like, we're not going to vibe here because she was obviously still very emotional about it 25 years later. And now I probably would understand it a little more. But at that time I was like, nope, I don't need this emotion, this, negativity. I'm going to find somebody else. And that's okay. If somebody's not serving you or you don't want to hear that, that's okay. But yes, you're right that sometimes you do get the doom and gloom sometimes. And as long as you don't feel guilty for still being here, I think, for fighting, right? We shouldn't feel guilty for still being here. It's sad that they went through that and our heart goes out to them. But for yourself, I think remembering like you still have a lot of life to live. Yeah.
Denise invited someone who is newly diagnosed, and my neighbor, one of the people that we serve in our food program, sister in New Jersey, was just diagnosed, and she's been the caretaker of her husband for years. What advice or what would you say to a newly diagnosed person? And I hope she's still on the line. Oh, so good.
Yeah. I know it's overwhelming and terrifying, and there's so much unknown out there, but I think finding this group, finding a support system, whether it's somebody that's been through it or not, like finding that support system and asking for help, or just, like I said, being okay with crying, being okay with being scared, being okay with losing your hair, being okay with whatever, having those emotions, let them out, right? It's okay. It's okay. You've got a lot of people that are here that are willing to lift you up, that are willing to help you. There's a lot of great organizations, a lot of great programs, so you're not alone. I know that's kind of cliche sometimes when we say that, but it's true. You're not alone. You have a lot of us that are willing to even just listen. Or like my coworker, just answer questions, just listen. That's all you need sometimes. But it's okay to be afraid because it's a scary thing. And it overtakes your life. We all know this. But we're all here still, right? And we're here for you as well. And I just wanted to go back real quick. As I'm thinking about what I said to you about people that come up to you, I don't want to dismiss that somebody lost somebody to breast cancer. But it does, I don't know, make you think about your journey a little different and be a little more grateful for it and maybe live life, do more of the things you want to do, right? And while we feel and are sad and don't want to see anybody pass away from this, being able to help others as much as we can to live the best life possible, that's what we're still here for. So, anybody online have questions? I'm fine to come sit down. Because, oh, yeah.
So I'm 27 now. I could not imagine going through what you've gone through. I feel like my generation is so big on, just like mental health and everything. Can you speak to how you coped at that time? I'm also getting married soon, so it's very similar lifestyle. So I'd just love to know how you coped with everything, in that time.
Well, congratulations, Cassie. That's awesome. And I'm sure you've seen some of it with going through with your mom, but I think about like, am I a good example of how to cope with it? Because like I said, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm young, I'm vibrant, I can get through this, which I think is the advantage that we have in our 20s. And even with getting married at 36 and being diagnosed, it made I'm not able to have kids. I thankfully married with two stepkids now. So you do think about those things a little bit differently. But I think your generation too, you guys are so much more open about it. And whether you want to be or not, but talking with people, honestly, you being a part of this and hearing everybody's stories, if somebody is near you in that age, sharing that story. I think just talking with people and staying open about it, more importantly, for you all to take care of yourself, your mental health, your physical health. You all know so much more than we did in terms of advocating for yourself, right? And knowing like, I felt the lump the first time and the doctor's like, you're 26, no family history. It's just a cyst, stop drinking so much coffee. And I would say now, if you felt something and somebody said that to you, like go get a second opinion, right? We know so much more, but just coping, I just surrounded myself with people that I knew loved me and supported me, honestly. And I think I found so many more people that loved me and supported me than I thought. And that's the blessing through all of this. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Thank you for asking that.
Well, thank you so much, Kristen, for sharing. Next, we are ready for you, Miss Lisa. I had the opportunity of getting to know her, also with my reign during my Miss DCUSA. So thank you so much for joining us from American Cancer Society.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I can see that everyone can see the screen. And we're talking about support. So this kind of leads into one of the things that we kind of talk about. Can you hear me as well, Sergio? Okay, great. And so one of the things that we talk about is that's coming up in this opportunity for support. It's our Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. And so that's coming up. That's on Saturday, October the 26th. And it's going to be at the Tidal Basin in Washington, D.C. So certainly if you have an opportunity, bring friends and family out. And it's a wonderful, it's like a 3 to 5 mile non-competitive walk. You can walk, you can not walk, you can just stay in the area. But there's going to be all different types of breast cancer survivors there, metastatic breast cancer survivors, thrivers, caregivers, and family alike. So we welcome you to come out and join us. Again, it's right there at the Raoul Wallenberg place in Northwest. And there's our website as well. So get a chance, the opportunity to click on there and get some updates on all the new things that are going to be happening as well. And let me see. We have a new person who is our senior manager, and his name is TJ. And TJ has taken over the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer initiative and the walk. So look for him there. If you have any questions on the walk and you want to get a team still together, there's still opportunities to get a team and just come out and celebrate with others. This year, of course, look for some exciting things. Of course, we've got our big 360 booth. We have a live band this year, again, the Bren Call All-Stars, who are going to be bringing us all energized and all home when we finish that. We have a pink chair for picture opportunities. There's going to be a big survivor experience tent. So we have someone that's coming out and putting together this survivor experience. So please come on out and get an opportunity to see what that's like. And also, again, this year we have our Faces of Hope. This year we have 8 ladies with different backgrounds and different times in their lives that they've been diagnosed with cancer, from being a veteran and serving 32 years in the military and then finding out you have stage 4 cancer. The people have been diagnosed in their 20s as well. So they're all representatives of different backgrounds and ethnicities. So come out and meet our Faces of Hope this year. Again, like we said, we had the Brencore All-Stars last year. They're back again, supporting family, friendship, resources. So come on out. Why do we do these walks? Because we have more than 287,000 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer. And as we know, men are diagnosed with breast cancer. 2,700 men at least will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and even more. Female breast cancer rates have been declining, but because of early detection and improved treatment. So it's important. Diagnosis, getting tested early, that's going to really be one of the benefits to saving lives, cancer screening. We also talk about one of the commonly most diagnosed things in the world is breast cancer as well. And despite the drop, Black women are 41% more likely to die of breast cancer than their white counterparts. And so there's something that we need to do about this. And they're getting diagnosed younger and younger. But I always say, what are we doing? What's been happening? We are making strides. Look at where we've been and where we are now. Mammogram breakthroughs, tamoxifen, Herceptin, reducing disparities and responses to treatment. So there are so many things that are breakthroughs that have come through in the last few years that we didn't have. I personally have 12 personal girlfriends that are breast cancer survivors. And I'm glad to say survivors because couple of years, they probably wouldn't have been survivors in the past. What we're doing in our impact, we're doing 3 specific things. The American Cancer Society, and that's health equity for all. We're investing $49 million in 61 different grants. We provide lodging as well. So we provide over 329,000 free nights of lodging. Specifically in this location, it's the Baltimore Hope Lodge, which is located near Johns Hopkins and the University of Maryland. So anyone can stay there along with their caregivers while they're getting treatment. And we also have transportation, that's Road to Recovery, and we provide rides to and from your cancer treatment. Another thing I'd want to make sure that everyone notes is our free, toll-free cancer helpline. And that number, it's always an easy number for me to remember. Back in the day where I'm from, we had this show called 227, which starred Jackie Harry. And I always remember that number. So it's 800-227-2345. 800-227-2345. A live person will come on this line and speak with you, help you, guide you through your cancer journey, give you information, set you up with rides to and from your cancer treatment, and even give you assistance on lodging. And then now what we've delved into a little bit more is food insecurity as well. So certainly give them a call. Our pillars are discovery, which is necessarily providing cancer-specific research by funding grants. Patient support, different methods of support from mastectomy, support to patient support, where you can call live chats, you can have one-on-one, and we'll match you with someone who's been through the same type of cancer you've been through. So do you have someone to pair with? as well as advocacy. So these are important things that we do on the Hill as well. And some of you have done with us as well. So those are to increase or protect funding for breast cancer and cervical cancer so that we can have early detection and continue to do so. These are just some pictures. You might see some familiar faces of what we had last year. Just a few faces. And of course, the pink chair is bringing back. One thing I want to highlight as well is our latest study and initiative. It's called Voices of Black Women. Now, in this particular study, we are looking for Black women in the Washington, D.C. and Maryland area and Virginia who are between the ages of 25 and 55 who have no history of cancer except for basal or squamous skin cancer, but no other history of cancer. We'd like for these women to enroll in a study where we're going to follow them for over 30 years. And then each year, there's going to be 2 very short questions that they need to answer over the internet. And we'll be tracking them to find out, because we realize in certain areas, specifically in Washington, D.C., that we are having Black women have more instances of cancer, and even more so at a younger age. So what is the connection? Is it something environmental? Is it something with their DNA? Is it something from their background? We need to find the reason for this so that we can advocate. Maybe it might be necessary for these women to have cancer screenings done at an earlier age. We don't know, but we need Black women to step up and advocate. The studies we've done in the past have not had a concentration on Black women, especially in these high instance areas. I'm going to stop this right now, but just to thank you so much for the opportunity to come and talk to you about what's the latest things that are going on. And I hope to see everyone at the walk. Bring a friend down, just come out and get information and resources. Come out, share your experiences, and know that, as we said, you're not alone. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lisa. And yes, I saw my picture up there. Yes, I went last year. It was a little rainy, but it was still fun. Hopefully we get better weather this year. All right. So with that, I'd like to welcome our next speaker, a former Miss DC USA. One thing I love about pageant girls is we still advocate even after the crown. Miss Speaker Kristen Berset. So please come into the stage.
Good evening, everyone. So, Miss Thelma thinks that I'm going to do my testimony, but I decided to share with you all a piece I wrote about breast cancer awareness. And my grandmother, who passed away in December, she was the light of my life. And she's the one that had me strive to be the best at whatever I was doing. And I used to go in, I have like 80 something trophies at home from pageants along the years. And her crowning glory moment was when I did the Miss USA pageant. And she always taught me, there's no competition out there for you. You are your only competition. So I would always look at my sisters in admiration, just so happy to be there to share the experience with them, because in my mind, I was my only competition, and that's how I feel with cancer. My battle is me. I'm fighting me, and I'm fighting to survive. And to all of the people out there that are fighting to survive, you can do it by the grace of God. So I'm going to share with you all this special piece, and I hope that you can connect and relate. I stand on my own, but I stand for many. Instead of counting lives, I'd rather be counting pennies. But this ain't about counting change, this about seeing it. And right now, I ain't seeing but too many pink ribbons in the sky. Still got Stevie wondering why. They got shots for COVID and flu, vaccines and chemos galore, but still, after all these years of paid research and there's no cure for estrogen positive, triple negative, and HER2. Yeah, I'm in the battlefield. You can say I'm in a ring. And I ain't gonna stop fighting even after the man say ding, ding, ding. I'ma rise up, cause I'm a warrior of love. Shout out to Fiji, native blood, descendant of lethal victory. This here, my political party. No offense to the Dems and Republicans. Y'all rock the bow ties. I rep my sisters. Yeah, we ring them bells and rock the pink ribbons. You know, the grandmother of my ex-mate Supernova once told me, whatever you do, try to make it on Oprah. Mama Audrey Scott told me, after a vision of a pink rose given, that I would be chosen leader of a feminine movement. Back in the day when the books of Maya, Tony, and Inyala were my daily mantra. And on this day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I pray that my words enlighten but don't frighten. Wish the mortality rates were lowered, but they're heightened. 113 by the day. 47% more blacks and browns on to ancestors EBA. Ava Everett, Edith P., Monique Alberton, Mary Dews, rest in peace. Yeah, it's a call. To all you pretty young things and fashion novas, young beauties, insta cuties, it's time to spark up the ammo. It's an Insta challenge. Time to spark up the ammo on the gram and the power of prevention, the power of the mammo. Despite the mental stresses and strains, weighing the ones we lost with the ones we've gained. The proof of life is in the God remains. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The lesson of keeping abreast means being aware of this silent killer, the battle of the bust. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tiara, for those powerful words. I'd like to welcome back Miss Thelma. Don't sit down just yet, ma'am, for some acknowledgments and announcements.
Thank you. And all I can say is, wow, wow, wow. What a powerful piece of poetry. And to remember it and say it with such passion, vigor, and animation. Gee, I thought only I could do something like that, but you did. No, that was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And thank you on behalf of all of us. We have had an absolutely wonderful evening, a wonderful room of guests, a wonderful group of guests on Zoom and Facebook Live. This is the kind of thing that you'd like to see an instant rerun. But this is all going to be it's recorded. That's correct. So, and it will go on Facebook and we can see it. And we're also going to put this on our YouTube so that if you missed some of it or would like to see some of it again, or press that share button, which is important because there was a lot shared here tonight. Our theme of courage, perseverance, and triumph, a survivor story. We heard a few survivor stories. And from that, we've gained a lot. We've gained some courage. We've gained some strength. And we will persevere and be triumphant with our challenges. And sometimes remember, too, that we are fighting ourselves, as Tiara said. I want to close this evening. Again, let me thank our guests, our MC, Cassie Boulay. Let's give Cassie a hand. And we all wish you well on your journey into marriage, and also our prayers and thoughts and wishes are with your mom, because I know that can be, or that is very challenging, one side of your life with that challenge, and then you're entering a new life of happiness. So we wish you well on both of those journeys, and know that the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund believes that no one should walk their journey alone. So we are here to walk with you. Just text or call me. Okay, good, good. And please tell your mom she's welcome to call or text as well. Okay. And again, I want to thank Kristen Berset-Harris for her wonderful story and for coming here 3 times in a row. And we could book this now to save me a lot of work. So that you can come back next year. And of course, to watch Kristen. She's moved now to a different hour. So I apologize earlier of still keeping you in the morning. And it'll make it much easier when we go to still standing, because I remember those times when we had to be up at that station like some ungodly hour. Okay, you know, so 1:30 to 3:30 is much better. And they're going to have a lot of food and gifts too. So do come to that. And of course, we want to thank you again, Tiara. And we have adopted you into our circle. So we'll be calling and texting you and adding you to the distribution list. Okay. And of course, we want to thank my church for providing this for us. Sergio for being our wonderful tech person. Gee, for the first time in a while, we did not have any problems with our technology. Praise God. And thank you to those on Zoom. And a couple or a few quick announcements. One that I'm really proud of is on November the 17th, the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, which is the lobbying arm of ACS, is sponsoring in partnership with the Thelma D. Jones a screening of a short documentary entitled In Due Season. And this documentary is about how systemic racism contributes to healthcare policy decisions for Black Americans in the Medicare coverage gap. You know, sort of one of those situations that you don't make enough, but you make too much to get assistance. So that short documentary is about that, and we will show it Thursday, November the 17th at 5 or 6 o'clock. We're still working that time out, but the date and the venue at Westminster Church, Jazz Night, Blues Night, that's where it's going to be at 400 I Street. And I invite you to keep your ears and eyes out for that and to come and see that fascinating documentary. I've had the honor of seeing it and sharing, being a spokesperson for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. Also, now Lisa mentioned about the Making Strides Walk coming up. I just would like to remind everyone that my son Jamal and his son, or my grandson, are leading the TJ Striders, the dynamic TJ Striders in the American Cancer Society Walk. And we have a goal of $3,500 to raise. My son reminds me, well, Mama, you made that goal. So we have a goal of $3,500 to raise. And I encourage you, when you're looking for a great place to unload some of that extra money that you have, I can't think of a better place than, of course, the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund for you to share your dollars with our effort toward Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, which, as Lisa said, is coming up very soon in October. So I hope that October the 26th on the Tidal Basin. So I hope you will all join that. And of course, Kristen and I have reminded you about Still Standing on Wednesday, October the 30th at the station from 1:30 to 3:30. And lastly, the Legacy of Hope DC, which is an organization that advocates for breast cancer awareness in Black women and families, will have a Pink Hope party on Saturday, October the 26th. This is in the evening, so it won't conflict, at In a Minute Cafe and Lounge in Upper Marlboro. And portions of the proceeds for that will go to benefit the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund and one other organization. So I would encourage you to consider that. And I did say last, but I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Hen Quarter Prime. As some of you may know, that's a new restaurant that opened at 2121 First Street Southwest. And it is owned by Thompson Restaurants. Warren Thompson is the largest minority-owned restaurateur in the country, owning more than 70 restaurants. He also owns Milk and Honey and Makers Union, a new restaurant on the just a block from here on the wharf. So portions of the proceeds throughout the month of October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, will go to the Thelma D. Jones Breast Cancer Fund. And next Friday night, we're having a fashion show, and I will be strutting my stuff. So stay tuned for more details on that, as well as some of our ambassadors. Angie and Thea and Sylvia will be modeling. So with that, let me thank you all again, and please mark your calendars for Wednesday, November the 20th, when we will have our next support group meeting, where we celebrate Thanksgiving and we look at breast cancer survivors with disabilities. And I'm very happy to say that the Right Reverend Paula E. Clark, who is the first woman and first African American to become the bishop of the Episcopal Diocese in Chicago. So Paula will be the guest speaker. So I hope that you will come back and hear Paula speak. Okay. Thank you and good night. Oh, I'm sorry, you have a question? Oh, by all means. Chris, are you still there? Oh, he may have to go and take care of his son.
I'm still around.
Oh, you're still here? Oh, she said
Yep.
she wanted, thank you. She wanted to say something about Lori. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And from there, it was, let's go. She walked me to where I had to go, and that's someone there said, bring her back. She took very, well, very good care of me during my time when I was like, oh God, I'm dying. And I saw her, I believe it was about 2 months before she passed. And when I went back to the office, they just said, well, you see it someone else. But when I found out that she passed, it was like one of my relatives had died, or my close friend. Because Dr. Wilson said, you feeling any kind of way, call me, I'll call you back. And it was a lot of times I was feeling like that, and she always got back to me. And it kind of was, she was there and then she was gone, and nobody was telling you anything, which I understand. But I felt like I had a better relationship, a much closer relationship than just doctor and patient because of how she cared about her patients. And I was on my way home, and I got the response from Miss Murphy's email, and you put up the flyer about coming in. So I got off the bus right there, and I came here because she helped me tremendously to get over the fear, to be calm and do what I had, do what I had to do. When I started chemo, and she said, well, give me a call, let me know how you feel after your first chemo, second chemo. And I didn't call her. I got this call. I saw him say, your doctor on the phone. I said, what? And it was Dr. Lori Wilson. So I want to say, I'm sure I was not the only patient she treated that way, because she was just that kind of doctor and that kind of person. And this is really the main reason that I came. I saw Dr. Lori Wilson's name, and I had saw it in the Southwest paper a while ago, and I shared it at our resident council meeting because I live in Greenville City.
That's where I know you from. I knew you looked familiar.
And so, but I'm glad that I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm glad I'm here because it's something for me to put myself out there to speak about this. And during my time going through, I didn't have family that I could talk to about it. Because if you say you got cancer, they're like, oh, well, okay. And it will, by the grace of God, it will help from my doctor. I don't know where I would be. So I wanted to come today and just to relay that because I've been thinking about this from the time when she passed, because I felt like I had unfinished business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I saw this about 5 o'clock today,
Mm-hmm.
and I was coming from my time, and I said, God, stop. She's still working, but she bought me here. She's still working, she bought me here.
Yeah.
Because I heard the name, I seen this and stuff, but I was never involved. I donated some money here and there, but she bought me here. And sitting here and listening to everybody and all the things that is going on and stuff like that, I have now a new passion in life, is to try to do whatever I can to be more involved, to help people be accountable. I have a sister. My sister was also her patient.
Oh, wow. It's a family thing. Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to share with you, because, your friend, your wife, my doctor.
She wore many hats. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I mean,
Thank you.
the speeches were wonderful, but your testimony was excellent. Yes. And we can talk.
Story, why I was here, everybody, and I was like, I really wasn't invited, but I was.
It's all right. It's all right. And I'm going to connect with you more so that I can work closer with you in Greenleaf and you can share your stories and help make an impact and difference in their lives. Okay. All right, then. I will turn it back over to Cassie for closing remarks. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Miss Thelma. It's been an honor being your MC this evening. I hopefully did a good job for my first time. I hope that this discussion was thought-provoking and filled your spirit. I know I get very emotional myself talking about this just because of my mother. But, October is our month. It's our month to honor courage, our perseverance, and triumph, and share our story. So thank you so much for sharing your story. My mentor always says that survivors are the lens through which others see hope. And every time I look at my mother, I see hope in her and other survivors like you all. I see hope. So I know that we're moving in the right direction, but we still have many strides to make. I hope that I get a chance to see you all at one of the events that was mentioned tonight. I know there's plenty more this October, but I hope everyone has a good rest of their evening and gets home safely. So thank you all for joining us.